everyone. Indian fever. You can be part of the fun. Know the winner at every game. That's where the excitement begins. With the Cleveland Indians.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the November 9th, 2018 Lake County Sentinel Podcast. I'm your host, publisher, and sports editor, Tim Shirer, and I'm glad you're with us tonight. And hopefully you'll enjoy what we have to talk about tonight. We have quite a bit on tap for this show. Our sports half hour is going to be jam-packed as we talk about some of the things in local Cleveland sports this weekend. We have four teams in action. The Monsters, the Icebreakers, the Browns, and then the Cavs will be in action tomorrow night. But let's get to the Monsters first. The Monsters come into their weekend 2-game series against the Laval Rockets. They're 4 points out of first place. They're in second place in their division. They play the Laval Rockets tonight at 7 at the Q, and they play Saturday at the Q at 7. They will be attempting to move into first place. They were not successful on Wednesday night when they played the Syracuse Americans. They were defeated. They had a chance to be tied for first place, and they could not take advantage of it. So they'll have to do it this weekend. Maybe they could win both this weekend and get into a tie for first place. So that's what's going on with the Cleveland Monsters. A pretty good hockey team are the Cleveland Monsters. Now we move to the Mentor Icebreakers of the Franklin Hockey League. It's their inaugural season. They're playing their second and third home games this weekend. They play tonight and tomorrow night at 7:35 at the Mentor Ice Arena. They had a nice crowd their opening night. They had over 1,200 fans for their opening night, which is very good for an independent hockey league. So they play the Watertown Wolves, both games this weekend, tonight and tomorrow. And hopefully they'll get their first win. It would be great if they could get their first win. It's tough for a franchise, just getting started. And hopefully the Icebreakers will be able to get in the win column this weekend for the people of Lake County, those who really enjoy hockey and are going to see this new venture at the beautiful Mentor Ice Arena. I mean, people who know me know that I'm not, a huge fan of Mentor because of a lot of the things that go with it. But I have to tell you, the Mentor Ice Arena is one of the nicest ice arenas that I've ever been in. It's a really nice place, and I think it's probably a great place to watch a professional hockey game too, because you're close. You're close. So it probably is a really nice venue to watch the Mentor Icebreakers take on the Watertown Wolves this weekend, tonight at 7:35, and then tomorrow at 7:35. And hopefully they get their first win. That would be really great if they could get their first win. Well, now we're going to move on to talk about the Browns for several minutes now. They do have a game this weekend against Atlanta. But you know what? I've decided, why don't we just update the injury report for the Cavaliers first and get that out of the way. The Cavaliers, Jetty Osman will not play in tomorrow's game. He will be out. They already have other injuries. Kevin Love is out long term. Decker is out long term for about 2 to 4 weeks. So they have injuries. This is not, things have not been going well, excuse me, on the injury front for the Cavaliers. So hopefully, Osman will not be out more than one game tomorrow. But now let's get back to the Browns. It'll be Greg Williams' second game as interim head coach. They're going to face the Atlanta Falcons, who have not been as good as you think they would be. They are, they're led by Matt Ryan, who is a really, really good NFL quarterback. And I touched on it last night, and I said I think what separates Matt Ryan from guys like Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers is that you can rattle Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan can be rattled, and he has been rattled in games in the past, which has caused him problems. And he hasn't, he hasn't won the Super Bowl. Some will say he blew the Super Bowl against the Patriots. I don't believe he blew that Super Bowl. He just I think the Falcons defense was as much to blame for losing that Super Bowl as Matt Ryan. But Matt Ryan, I think if you get to him early in the game, you can affect him. I mean, the Falcons are only 4-4. Their defense has been a little suspect too. But, and that you would think, okay, their defense has been suspect, so the Browns have a chance. Well, the Chiefs' defense had been suspect too, and the Browns didn't really look real good against their defense. Tampa Bay's defense has not been good at all. I believe they held the Browns to the second lowest points they had allowed all year. So it doesn't give me a lot of confidence that the Browns defense will be able to do anything against the Falcons defense. I just think that it's going to be another tough week for the Browns offense. And I think that, they're going to give up a lot of points too. Because I don't think they're going to really be able to get to Matt Ryan because of the injuries. You got Christian Kirksey now out for the year. And then, Schobert might come back this week, but will he be 100%? I don't know. You wonder about that. Will he be 100%? I think, Schobert being hurt was bad, and you've got a lot of injuries in the secondary with E.J. Gaines is out for the year now. Denzel Ward says he's going to come back. We'll see. Hopefully, will he be 100%? I don't know. That's the problem. When these injuries start piling up, it's a problem. And I say stuff to Browns fans about everybody has injuries, but yeah. There's a lot of significant injuries on the defense right now, and I'm gonna admit that. And if they didn't have all these injuries, would they be in some of these games? Yeah, I think they might. I think they could actually challenge the Falcons if they didn't have all these injuries. Would they have been able to? Would they have been able to beat Tampa Bay if Schobert wasn't out? They might have been able to. They might have. So I don't know, but they're 2-6-1. They've lost 4 in a row. Greg Williams is looking for his first win as head coach. Do I like the attitude Greg Williams brings to the team? Yeah, I do. I'm not sure Greg Williams is the nicest guy in the world because of some of the past things he's done, but I'll tell you this. He seems to get the best out of people. And I think, I don't know how many games they'll win the rest of the way. They may not win a game the rest of the way. It's a tough schedule. But Greg Williams, I feel he'll get the most out of them. But I'm not gonna sit here and say that I didn't think Hugh Jackson was getting the most out of them. I think Hugh Jackson was too concerned with saving his job, and it messed with his decision making. So I think that was a bad thing, and that hampered Hugh Jackson, and ultimately it cost him his job. So, my prediction for this week will be Browns fans will not like, but I believe that the Falcons will run all over them, and the Falcons will win the game 45-14. That's my prediction. That's just a prediction. Nobody's ever right with exact numbers. You could go close, but I think it's going to be just another one in a long line of ugly Browns games to watch. And people are going to be upset on Monday. It's going to be another tough day, but, well, I think John Dorsey has a team on the right track. It's just going to take some time here. You can't expect this to turn around in 1 year. People that think that, they're delusional. Delusional. You cannot turn an NFL franchise around in 1 year, especially what John Dorsey inherited. He inherited a disaster. He inherited a roster that had no talent. It had no talent on it. Okay? So don't try to tell me it had talent. It had no talent. So I think that we're going to see, what happens, but I think Sunday's going to be another bloodbath. I don't think they're going to do very well on Sunday. And, well, if they improve, if they learn from it, the guys who are going to be here long term, then that's good. If they don't, that's another thing. So we'll see what happens. But I think the Browns lose to the Falcons 45-14 on Sunday, and that's it. They'll be 2-7-1 after Sunday. They'll lose their fifth in a row. But we just got some breaking news in, and in a way it's sad, but in another way, I'm glad he did it, or is going to announce that he's doing it, because some guys you see with one team. You don't think they should play on another team, and they identify with that team. So from what I understand, Joe Mauer is going to announce that he's retiring from baseball. Played all 15 seasons with the Minnesota Twins. He's from Minneapolis. So, dream come true. Okay, dream come true. The guy played for the team that he grew up liking. He was a class act, Joe Mauer, and he's forever a Twin. He's going to retire as a Minnesota Twin, and that's the way it should be. There's some things in sports that just should be certain ways, and I think that's one of them. Joe Mauer is a Minnesota Twin, and that's now how we can remember him forever. From what I hear, he's going to announce his retirement on Monday, and that'll be the end of it. That will be the end of a great career. I'm not sure if he's going to be a Hall of Famer because he missed a lot of time due to injuries, and the concussions hurt him a lot. But let's just say Joe Mauer represented the game of baseball in the right way, and he represented the Minnesota Twins very well for 15 seasons. And I'll miss watching him play, but I won't miss him getting big hits against the Indians because he did that a lot. So good luck to Joe Mauer in his life after baseball. A true class act. A true class act. But now we're going to move on to fantasy sports. And I think what we'll do first is I will give you my top, it's seven players. So, well, it's 5 players and then 2 like team defenses. But my top 5 players for the week they're all big surprises. Well, some might be. I mean, I don't know. I got Pat Mahomes. Obviously, the guy is a beast. I have him in 3 of my 5 leagues. One league you don't have quarterbacks, so couldn't have him in that. But 3 of the 4 leagues they have quarterbacks, and amazing. The league I don't have him, I'm not doing as well. But the 3 leagues, it's just every week it's unbelievable to watch. His stats add up. I mean, this guy is he is unbelievable. I've never seen I really cannot remember a quarterback that just makes it look so easy. He really makes it look easy when he's that young. I mean, you see veterans that make it look easy, but this guy's in his second year. He had only 1 start last year, and he makes it look so easy. And he doesn't only make it look easy against a bad defense, okay? He makes it look easy against good defenses. I mean, their only loss this year is against New England by 3 points. I think it was 43-40. So this guy, he makes it look so easy. He is definitely the number 1 fantasy football player, I think, right now. And then I got Ryan Fitzpatrick of Tampa Bay. And that's not because I'm a Bucs fan. I think Ryan Fitzpatrick, that offense that Tampa runs is a gold mine for if you need a quarterback in a fantasy football league. Ryan Fitzpatrick just throws the ball 50 times a game. And it's not that he throws the ball a lot. It's that he can throw downfield. And it seems like he has at least 1 60-yard touchdown a game, if not 2. It's the problem for Tampa Bay is they can't stop anyone. But if you want a quarterback, if he's available, which I can't imagine he'd still be available in any league because of the points he gets, Ryan Fitzpatrick's the guy. And then we got Tevin Coleman, the running back for the Falcons. And I feel like he might have a big week this week because once they start passing, then that's going to open it up for him. And the Browns defense just doesn't stop the run very well. So I feel like Tevin Coleman's another one. But I'm going to be fair here, see, because I talked about the Browns getting beat by the run. I'm also going to talk about, Tampa Bay plays Washington. And if Adrian Peterson is healthy, it could be ugly for Tampa Bay because they can't stop the run. Oh, geez. Their defensive line that was supposed to be good coming into the season has been horrible. They cannot stop the run at all. So Adrian Peterson, if he's healthy this week for Washington, he could have a huge week. He could. But probably the best running back of the week, again, and the Chiefs are playing a bad, defense in Arizona, is the best running back of the week is Kareem Hunt. Once again, he should have a huge week because not only does he run the ball, but he catches the ball out of the backfield, and Mahomes really likes throwing to him. So I think that he could have another huge week this week. I'm hoping he does. I've got him on in 2 leagues, so I'm hoping he has a really good week. That would be nice to, that'd be really nice to have him do well, and but I think that, and then the last 2 players that I have in my fantasy picks for players this week are, I believe, the Chargers defense, because they are playing Oakland. Oakland is horrible. So I think that David Carr may be on his back quite a bit this year. I had David Carr in several leagues. I have David Carr in no leagues now. I saw what was coming. John Gruden is not a good head coach. I don't care what anyone says. Yeah, he led Tampa Bay to win a Super Bowl, but he led Tony Dungy's Tampa Bay team to win the Super Bowl. The only thing he did a lot that year is yell, and a lot of players left after that. So I think that the Chargers defense is a good one to pick up this week because it could get real ugly for the Raiders. And then the other defense is the 49ers defense. The 49ers are a very interesting team. They're not that good, people don't think, but I think they are. I actually think they are pretty good. People wanted to count them out when Jimmy Garoppolo got injured, which I can understand that. But I think also that you have to understand that their defense is pretty good, and that's kept them in games. Okay, so I think that's a defense I would pick up. If you need a defense for 1 week because maybe a good defense that you have is on bye, I would pick up the 49ers defense this week. They're playing the Giants, who are awful. And I think that, I think there might be a chance that the 49ers defense could be a good, really good pickup this week. But who knows? That's just my opinion. Don't hold me to it. If you pick any of these people up and they do lousy, it's not my fault. Just giving you advice. I will tell you that every one of the players that I mentioned, the 5 players I mentioned, actual players, I have 4 of the 5. The only reason I don't have Tevin Coleman is because I couldn't get him. I do have the 49ers defense, but I do not have the Chargers because I couldn't get them either. So these are all players I'd put on my team. I wouldn't suggest players for somebody else's team if I couldn't have them on mine. So that's the fantasy players for Sunday that I would have on my team if I was you. So now let's move to the NFL picks for the week. Here's my pick'em. This is the pick'em I'm in where there is not a point spread. Okay, so this is just a straight up pick, no points involved. I picked Pittsburgh last night, but I only picked them with 2 confidence points. I'm kind of regretting that now. Pittsburgh really smacked around the Panthers last night. And as a Buccaneers fan, I enjoyed that very much. I don't like Pittsburgh. Carolina might be one of the only teams that I like less. Them and probably Baltimore Ravens, which Baltimore Ravens, forget it. No matter what. It's very hard to ever root for them, even if it helps the Browns or the Buccaneers. I just can't stand them. I have the Ravens. But okay, so we got that. I got that right. The Steelers beat the Panthers last night. They beat them pretty bad. Okay, then we got the next game we go to is the Chicago and Detroit game. Detroit Lions at the Chicago Bears. And I have Chicago winning that game. And I have 5 confidence points on that. So the highest amount of confidence points is the amount of games for the week. So there's 14 games this week, so you could have a 14. The lowest is a 1. So I got Chicago beating Detroit, and I have that with a 5 confidence. And then I have this one that I think some people are going to think is surprising. I think it could happen. I don't have confidence points high in it, but I think it could happen. I'm going to pick the Bengals to upset the Saints. I just feel like the Saints, it's going to happen one of these weeks, and especially after beating the Rams last week, it could happen this week. So, and a little of that in me is the NFC South, hoping the Saints lose. But although I guess I should hope that the Saints beat the Bengals, because then it makes the NFC South look better than the AFC North, which I think it is anyway. I think pretty much everybody in football thinks that. But so I have the Bengals beating the Saints with a 3-point confident level. But then, and I already went over the Browns and Falcons game. I'm going to have the Falcons winning, and I have that as a 12. I just don't see the Browns winning it. It would be a nice upset, but I just don't see it happening. And then I have the Patriots at the Titans. As much as, the Patriots are the Patriots and don't like the Patriots, I have to pick the Patriots with 8 points and 8-point confidence points. But then we'll go to the Jacksonville at Indianapolis. Jacksonville has been quite a disappointment this year, but I think they'll beat the Colts, and I'm giving that a 7 in the confidence points. So I say that Jacksonville will defeat the Colts, and I have 7 confidence points on that. Then I have we go down to the Kansas City Chiefs are hosting the Arizona Cardinals. Trust me, people. This is going to get ugly. This is going to get ugly. Pat Mahomes and the Kareem Hunt and the Chiefs could put up 50. So I have 14 confidence points on the Chiefs, who are hosting the Cardinals. And then we have the Bills at the Jets. The Bills at the Jets. What I have here is the Jets beating the Bills. Neither team is very good. The Bills are horrible. So the Jets are just a little bit above horrible. And Josh McCown is starting this week, and I am a huge Josh McCown fan. He's a great teammate, but he's not a very good quarterback. He'll make several mistakes in this game, but I think Buffalo will make twice as many. And, this is going to be a battle of former Browns quarterbacks. Derek Anderson against Josh McCown. And they're still doing the same thing they did. Not playing very well and being on teams that aren't that good. So I think the Jets will beat the Bills, and I got 4 confidence points on the Jets. And then we get to the Redskins at Buccaneers. And I'm going to go with my heart, and I'm going to go with the Buccaneers. They play well against Washington. They always have, and it's in Tampa. They have 2 of their 3 wins at home in Tampa. So I think they're going to beat the Redskins, and I'm going with 6 confidence points on that. And then we got the next game we have is the Raiders and the Chargers. The Raiders will host the Chargers and get their heads beaten. The Chargers will take them apart piece by piece with no problem. And I have 11 confidence points on the Chargers. Then we have the Packers and Dolphins. The Dolphins go to Green Bay, and this might be my upset pick of the week, but I'm picking the Dolphins with 1 confidence point only, but I'm picking the Dolphins to upset the Packers. Even though they have a better record, it's still an upset. You go into Green Bay and win, it's an upset. And then we have the Rams and Seahawks. Seahawks will go to Los Angeles, play at the Coliseum against the Rams. I have the Rams winning that with a 10-point confidence. And then we have the Eagles and Cowboys on Sunday night. Dallas traveling to Philadelphia. And I have 9 points on the Eagles that they win that battle. Dallas isn't very good. Jason Garrett's days are numbered. And then for the final game of the week on Monday night, Giants at the 49ers. And I have 13 confidence points on the 49ers, beating the Giants, who are horrible, led by Pat Shermer. So those are my NFL picks for the week. And that's the end of our sports portion of the show. we will be right back to have the politics and news portion of the show right after this. Hello, and welcome to the second half of the Lake County Sentinel Podcast for November 9th, 2018. This is our news and political portion of the podcast, and we are going to talk about some of the races that are still undecided after Tuesday's election, some that are close, some that have been decided, and now there's lawsuits, some that are close, and there will be recounts. And then we're also going to talk about the shooting in Thousand Oaks, California. We'll start off with that. The shooting in Thousand Oaks. I just don't understand the gun people, how they continue to not understand that we don't need as many guns. I just don't understand. Why can't we have background checks? Why? What is the reason we can't have background checks? How does this hurt the NRA? There has to be a reason. It has to hurt them financially, because that's what they're worried about. They're not worried about anything else. They are worried financially. Let's be clear and honest. That's what the NRA cares about, financial. Okay? And its members fall right into their propaganda and believe it also. Okay? So what has to happen is people have to be convinced that lives matter more than money. Okay? Lives matter more than money, gun people. And you have fallen into the trap that the NRA wanted you to fall into. They have you believing that the Democrats want to take your guns. No, they do not. I don't want to see anybody who's a good gun owner, and I know a bunch of them. They're good people. I know a lot of good people that are gun owners. We don't agree on this issue, but I know a lot of them. And I don't want them to lose their guns. I know a guy that I've known since I was a kid. And he really loves hunting. He really loves hunting. He's got his own tree stand now. It's a real good tree stand. Real nice. He posts pictures of it on Facebook. It's beautiful. He's a great guy. He's one of the nicest people I've ever met in my life. But he's a lot like me. He voices his opinion. I'm not gonna say his name on here because I don't, I really like the guy. He's a nice guy. He's done a lot of work for me. And I trust him. And I value his opinion, and I really enjoy listening to his opinion. We talk. Whenever I have to get work done and I go to his place and we discuss, we end up talking politics and we discuss the guns, and we don't agree really, but I listen to him and he listens to what I have to say, and he's not stubborn about it, because I may never change his mind, but at least he listens, you know? And isn't that what we all want? Isn't that what we want? Isn't that what we want in a debate? It's somebody to be open-minded and just listen, because maybe the person says something that makes sense and it might change your mind. I don't think I'll ever change his mind on guns, but I'll tell you one thing I do know. I do know this. I don't want to take his guns. I don't want anyone to take his guns away, because his time where he hunts deer is time he needs. He needs that relaxation in his deer stand, and he needs to, that's his relaxation. His relaxation is his time in his deer stand, like my relaxation is in the yard gardening. I don't want to take that away from him, but I would like to make it a little harder for a crazy guy or someone with a criminal record to get a gun. I'd maybe want to make it a little harder for a guy who wants to buy a gun that could kill multiple people in a few seconds. I don't think that gun should be available. But I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm a gun expert. But what I do know is nobody should have to bury their child. And that's been happening way too much. Way too much. So something needs to be done. We voted these Democrats in on Tuesday. We didn't do a very good job in Ohio. We kept Sherrod Brown, so I really shouldn't say we. The rest of the country did a good job. Oh, I feel Ohio failed. But, that's another story. But these Democrats got voted in, and that's what they talked about. They talk about gun control. So if you're going to talk about it, you better do something. You better get some background check laws passed. You better do something. Okay? You better. But something needs to be done. I'm sick of seeing parents on the news crying after they just buried their kid, or they found out their kid died. Their only kid, their oldest kid, their youngest kid, their grandchild, or a kid that's buried his parent that might have got killed. That's horrible. A kid that's maybe a young kid and his parent got killed by a gunman. That's horrible. There has to be something that can be done. I don't want hunters to not be able to hunt. I don't. They should be able to. It's a relaxing thing for them. That should continue. But something has to be done with maniacs getting guns. And we have to do something about mental health in this country. Not just talk about it, Republicans, when it does you good, when it makes you sound good that you care, but then you do nothing about it. Something has to be done. Mental illness is a problem in this country, and it needs to be addressed. If we address those two issues, mass shootings, they may not go away completely, but I'll bet you they get cut down by a lot. Common sense thinking here. Common sense thinking. This isn't like some, this isn't rocket science here. Okay. I'm a pretty common thinker. And if I can come up with some kind of solution, these really smart people should be able to come up with a solution. Right? They're a lot smarter than I am. They should be able to come up with something. We elected them, then they better do their jobs. And back to the election now. Here we go with a lot of stuff still going on. A lot of races that are not decided. First, we'll talk about the Florida Senate race, which Rick as I like to call him, Rick Dred Scott, the Florida governor who ran for Senate, because, he doesn't really want to get out of public life because it's pretty easy to collect that paycheck all the time. So he's just going to try to stay, even though his time as governor is over. He ran against Bill Nelson, who is the incumbent Democrat, and has a lead at this point, which is within the margin of error for a recount. Rick Scott has 4,095,771 votes. Bill Nelson, the Democrat incumbent, has 4,080,923 votes, a 14,848 margin. 99% of the vote counted. So I believe a recount is going to happen in Florida, and that could happen as soon as tomorrow. It would be interesting if Nelson ended up winning after President Trump bragged on Wednesday about helping Scott win the seat. Of course, they will say that there's voter fraud, even though Rick Scott claimed a month ago that everything was honest in his state. There's no voter fraud in Florida. Everything's honest. But now he's claiming today that there's voter fraud because it's a close race. If he had won by 10 points, it would all be honest. That's the guys like Rick Scott, who are Trump supporters. That's the kind of thing they say because, they're hypocrites. But then we got the governor's race that's 99%, 99% counted. And Ron DeSantis, the Republican, is ahead of Andrew Gillum, the Democrat, by 36,002 votes, which is also within the margin of error of a recount. So both these elections could go to recounts in Florida, and this is very similar to the 2000 presidential election, people. And I feel like it won't come out on the way the Democrats want again. I feel both races will be won by Republicans because somehow they will come up with a way that the votes have to be counted by a certain time, and oh darn, that's 2 minutes away. Just like in 2000. That's my prediction, that this will not end well for Democrats. But that's how it goes in Florida, the honest state. But and then we got there's other races that are still going. I mean, the Georgia governor's race, believe it or not, it looked like it was all but done, is now being challenged by Stacey Abrams. She is going to court to challenge Brian Kemp, the results saying that Brian Kemp won by 64,252 votes. And the interesting part about this is Abrams has hired the team of lawyers that represented Bush during Bush v. Gore. So we're going to see. That's going to be very interesting to see what arguments they use and how this race ends. I still feel like this one still is going to go Republicans too. But, it's worth a fight. Why not? Why not? The Republicans want you just to go away and they can keep doing fraudulent things like hiding ballots and not letting people register, or telling them that you vote on the wrong day. They want to be able to keep doing that kind of stuff. So let's battle it out there in Georgia. Let's see what happens. Chances are you won't win, but why not? Why not give it a shot? And then we have the Arizona Senate race, which you have Martha McSally, the Republican, and Kristen Sinema, the Democrat. Sinema is leading by 9,517 votes. There were over close to 1.9 million ballots, or 1.9 million ballots cast in Arizona in this race, and it is within half a percentage point. So it'll be interesting. This is another race that is, how's it going to end? How's this going to come out? Is the Democrat going to take the race? There's probably going to be a recount in Arizona. I don't know if they have, what the laws are in Arizona. I know they don't do recounts in Wisconsin now. I know that. They don't do recounts in Wisconsin now because Rick Walker outlawed the recount several years ago in Happily, which is beautiful. It came back to bite old Scott this week when he lost in a close race, and there's no recount. Be careful what you wish for, Rick, because you lost. You didn't want a recount. You were against recounts. And what happened? You could have used a recount in this election, couldn't you? And you couldn't have one. So we got all of those races, the Arizona Senate race, the Georgia governor's race, the two races in Florida for governor and for Senate. And I'll tell you what, it's interesting that this many races are still being decided, and there actually might be a couple others that I missed, but I think it just shows that it's close. These are close races, and why should you just go away and not challenge if you're close? So I think that these are all good races, and hey, I'm going to even say that if Kristen Sinema wins in Arizona, she's a Democrat. Why not? Why not? Shouldn't Martha McSally ask for a recount? Hey, if it's that close, you never know what could happen. You might as well do it. So why are we? I think it's hilarious when Republicans sit there and say, "Well, he's just bitter that he lost. Why is he asking for a recount? Or why is she asking for a recount? She's just bitter she lost. Can't she just accept it and go home?" Well, it's different when they do it. So I'm not going to sit here and say that anybody shouldn't ask for a recount. If that's the law of the state, if that's what's legal in your state, then ask for a recount. Do it. Do it. If you think something might have been wrong, if somebody miscounted or something wasn't counted or ballots were lost or ballots were, haven't been counted yet or something, absentee ballots might still be coming in, something, you should demand a recount, no matter which side you're on. It doesn't matter. The election process needs to be open and fair. What's good for one is good for everybody. So if all of these things turn out to be recounts, then so be it. Would I like it if it was, decided by 8 or 9 o'clock on election night? Yeah, because I'm a political junkie. And I like things to be done quick, like they were when I was young, when elections were simple prior to 2001. When you knew by 9 o'clock who was going to be the new president. You knew by 9 o'clock who was going to take Congress. You knew by 9 o'clock who was going to take the House or who was going to take the Senate. You knew who's going to be my new governor. You knew by 9 o'clock. Who was going to be my new congressman. You knew by 9 o'clock. My senator by 9 o'clock. Maybe 10, maybe 11 at the latest. I mean, I'll never forget 2001 and being stunned. I stayed up till 2 in the morning. I had to be at work at 7. I stayed up till 2 in the morning watching that. And I was stunned that when I went to bed at 2 o'clock, that it hadn't been decided. But then I was really stunned the next morning when I woke up and they said neither guy had conceded, and Gore was filing lawsuits. Excuse me. And there were going to be recounts in certain counties. And then it went on. It went on for like 3 weeks. Did it go on until December? Or was it the end of November? I can't remember. All I know is watching it on TV when they finally came out with the decision and said, that's it. No more counting. It's over. And Bush won. So, but I think the process needs to go through to the end, and then you won't see people angry like they were in 2000. You know, there's still a large group of people in this country, and I think it's probably close to a majority or more, that still think that George Bush shouldn't have been president, that he should have lost. So that's why we have to see it through. You know, you have to see it through. You can't just cut it off halfway and say, that's it. It's over. You know, we're not going to count anymore. You just can't do that. I mean, if you do that, then you have people for years complaining that it wasn't done the correct way, and this guy shouldn't have been president, or this guy should have been president. Well, if you do it the right way, you do the recounts the right way, you go through the legal process the right way, and whatever happens in the end, that's the result. That's the right result. That's how it should be. But if you cut it off halfway through, like a lot of the Republicans want done, then you're always going to have people complaining, was it done the right way? Was it done the right way? There was fraud. There was cheating. I can't remember what that Secretary of State's name was in Florida. You know, but let me tell you something. That woman seemed dishonest to me. Catherine something. I can't remember. I just remember that she just seemed dishonest to me. And, you know, she just did. With her smile. And, you know, she just seemed like, yeah, I'm lying, but I'm gonna get my way here. That's what, you know, that's what it seemed like she was doing. The smirk on her face. You know, and that's the kind of thing we don't want to happen. That's the kind of thing that we really shouldn't have. You know, we need to have people in charge. Catherine Harris. There we go. Catherine Harris. My Lord. She was something. That smirk on her face. You know, I mean, I don't know. I think that she's a perfect example of a politician that's not very honest. You know, politician that's not very honest. And then she I feel like is a perfect example of that. You know, she just showed that she wasn't, you know, honest. She's the It says now, I believe she's was she or is she still she may still be the congresswoman. Oh no. No, she was she won a congressional seat in 2003 and served 2 terms, and then lost her Senate seat in 2007. And that was it. That looks like that was the end of her public life. You know, she was beaten by in the primary in 2007. She got beat in the primary. And when you get beat in the primary, you've gotten some people angry, especially in a congressional district that you won twice, and then they're going to let somebody run against you, and they win. So I guess it looks almost like she got a little bit of what she deserved in 2007, losing her congressional seat to a fellow Republican. So, but that's, I just think we want fair elections. I don't want it one side or the other cheating. I just don't. When I grew up, there was one thing I thought, and I knew that elections were fair. But of course, I found out since that that's not true. Growing up, I had no idea what went on in the South and how horribly bad African American people were treated. I mean, the story that Oprah told the other day, and look, I'm not a big Oprah fan. I think she's a fake most of the time. But I think, the story she told the other day about the guy that walked to several different polling places, several miles to vote, and they kept telling him he was at the wrong place every time he'd get there. And the last place he got to, when he told him he had to go, the poll was closed. He couldn't vote. He walked all of these places in his good suit. He thought it was a privilege to go and vote. And so he walked in his suit, with his suit on, with good clothes. Never got to vote in that election. How many other people haven't got to vote in this country in an election? Because people think it's funny to deny someone their right to vote. It's wrong to deny somebody their right to vote. If you're 18 and you're an American citizen and you're not a convicted felon, you have the right to vote in the United States. If you think it's okay to deny a person their right to vote, then you are so dead wrong. And I hope you're never in charge of an election. But that's the world for tonight. November 9th, 2018. We are out of time. We will see you on Monday. Hopefully, you'll be back with us on Monday. That would be great. Tell your friends to listen. I think we're getting better every night. So we're going to have a special guest on Monday. It's going to be the beginning of our special guest who will do a weekly report on Mondays. That's tune in Monday and find out who it is. Until Monday, have a good night, everybody, and have a good weekend.